Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Baba Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Baba Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Randana Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Jana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Praja Jana Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 9th Canto, chapter 11, verses 24 and 25. Okay, so we'll chant the Sanskrit for verse 24. Shri Rajavacha Katang sa Bhagavan Ramo Ratrin va swayam atmanaha Tasmin vate vavartanta Praja Puryascha Ishvare Sri Rajavacha Katangsa Bhagavan Ramo Ratrinva Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vavartanta Prajapuryascha Ishvare Shri Rajavacha Katangsa Bhagavan Ramo Ratrinva Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vitavartanta Prajapuryascha Ishvare Shri Rajavacha Katangsa Bhagavan Ramo Ratrinva Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vitartanta Prajapuryascha Ishvare Shri Rajavacha Katangsa Bhagavan Ramo Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vitartanta Cha Ishvare Shri Rajavacha Katangsa Bhagavan Ramo Ratrinva Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vitartanta Prajapuryascha Ishvare Shri Rajavacha Katangsa Bhagavan Ramo Ratrinva Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vitartanta Prajapuryascha Ishvare Shri Rajavacha Katangsa Bhagavan Ramo Ratrinva Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vitartanta Prajapuryascha Ishvare Srirajavacha Katansa Bhagavan Ramo Trinva Swayam Atmanaha Tasmin Vate Vivardanta Amanapurasha Ishvare. Word for word synonyms. Sri Rajavacha. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, Katam, how? Saha, he, the Lord, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramaha, Lord Ramacandra, Bratrin, unto the brothers Lakshman, Bharata, and Shatrughna. Va, either, Swayam, personally, Atmanaha, expansions of his person, Tasmin, unto the Lord, Va, either, Te, they, all the inhabitants and the brothers, Anvavartana, behaved, Praja, all the inhabitants, Puraha, the citizens, Cha, and Ishware, unto the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadeva Goswami, how did the Lord conduct himself and how did he behave in relationship with his brothers? And who were his brothers who were expansions of his own self? How did his brothers and the inhabitants of Ayodhya treat him?
Как вел себя Господь в те отношения, связанные с братьями, которые были в продолжении его личности? Как они относились к нему? Как к нему относились к
So no purport, so we'll read the next verse. Shukadeva Goswami replied, after accepting the throne of the government by the fervent request of his younger brother Bharata, Lord Ramacandra ordered his younger brothers to go out and conquer the entire world, while he personally remained in the capital to give audience to all the citizens and residents of the palace and supervise the governmental affairs with his other assistants.
Господь Рамачандра зашел на трон и стал править завтра. Он велел своим младшим братьям отправиться на завоевание всего мира, а сам остался в столице, чтобы принимать посещающих Бхагаватам и предателей дворца, так повезет с помощниками дела государства.
Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead does not allow any of his devotees or assistants to be engaged in sense gratification. The younger brothers of Lord Ramacandra were at home and enjoying the personal presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the Lord ordered them to go out and achieve victory all over the world. It was a custom, and this custom in some places is still current, that all other kings would have to accept the supremacy of the emperor.
Тогда существовал обычай, проведенный сохранился сейчас, согласно которому все цари должны были признавать верховную власть императора.
If the king of a small state did not accept the emperor's supremacy, there would be a fight, and the king of the small state would be obliged to accept the emperor as the supreme. Otherwise, it would not be possible for the emperor to rule the country.
Если царь малого государства не признавал власть императора добровольно, его вызывали на суд, чтобы заставить его подчиниться, иначе император не мог управлять государством.
Lord Ramacandra showed his favor to his brothers by ordering them to go out.
Господь Рамачандра явил милость своим братьям,
Many of the Lord's devotees residing in Vrindavan have taken a vow not to leave Vrindavan to preach Krishna consciousness.
многие преданные Господа, живущие во Вриндаване, дают обет никогда не покидать эту путь, тем самым лишаются возможности проповедовать сознание.
The Lord says that Krishna consciousness should be spread all over the world, in every village and every town.
Но Господь говорит, что сознание Кришна должно распространиться по всему миру и из каждый город и деревню.
Kritivite yata nagaradigram sarvatra prachara haive moranam. A pure devotee, therefore, must execute the order of the Lord and must not gratify his senses by remaining stagnant in one place, falsely proud, thinking that because he does not leave Vrindavan, perchance in a solitary place, he has become a great devotee.
Поэтому чисто преданный должен стараться исполнить волю Господа, а не удовлетворяться на чувства, но всегда оставаться в одном месте, чтобы кто-то думает, раз он покидает Вриндаван и повторяет мантру и мнение, то стал видеть Вайшнава.
A devotee must carry out the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Преданный должен исполнять волю Личности Бога.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jare Deka Tarikaha Krishna Upadesh. Every devotee, therefore, should spread Krishna consciousness by preaching, asking whomever he meets to accept the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu сказал, я являюсь Татаракаха Кришна Упадеша. Это значит, что каждый преданный должен распространять сознание Кришны, проповедовать и прося всех, кто его успеет, исполнять волю Духовной Личности Бога.
The Lord says, Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekang Sharanam Vraja. Quote, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. End quote.
Господь говорит, Сарвадхармам Паритяджа Мамекам Шаранам Vraja. Оставь все виды другой религии, просто предайся мне.
This is the order of the Lord who speaks as the Supreme Emperor.
Таково указание Господа, высшего повелителя, императора всей вселенной.
Everyone should be induced to accept this order, for this is victory, Digvijaya, and it is the due.
Нужно побуждать каждого исполнять указания, и это будет настоящей победой.
And it is the duty of the soldier, the devotee, to impress upon everyone this philosophy of life.
Обязанность преданного, как воина в армии Господа, заключается в том, чтобы побуждать каждого, несмотря на
Of course, those who are Kanishta Adhikaris do not preach, but the Lord shows mercy to them also, as he did by staying personally in Ayodhya to give audience to the people in general.
Разумеется, конечно, в Китае не проповедует. Но Господь оказывает милость им, как он сделал, когда послал своего, чтобы принимать посвящаться его любви.
One should not mistakenly think that the Lord asked his younger brothers to leave Ayodhya because he especially favored the citizens.
Не следует думать, что будто Господь попросил своих наших братьев покинуть Ayodhyu, пролил больше милости на горожан.
The Lord is merciful to everyone, and he knows how to show his favor to each individual person according to his capacity.
Господь милостив каждому, и он знает, как проявлять благосклонность ко всем преданным в соответствии с их индивидуальным качеством.
One who abides by the order of the Lord is a pure devotee.
Но того, кто полностью повинуется воле Господа, называют чистым.
Omagyanatimarandasya Gnajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Viditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So Lord Ramacandra, once he was back, having returned to Ayodhya, of course he became the king again. Started functioning, acting as the king, the emperor.
Господь Рамачандра, он о том, что он прибыл в Айодхью и действовал как император.
And the system was, as Srila Prabhupada says in some places still is, that the emperor, he sends his representatives out to conquer the rest of the world, the rest of the area that he is king of. And Srila Prabhupada explains that the system was that the representatives of the emperor, he would go to each king everywhere in throughout the entire world at that time, and he would say, do you accept this person as the emperor, as above you? He would ask every king that.
Все цари, которые были под правлением одного императора, они признавали его власть, и если там не было признавать,
and if they agreed, that was very good. And if they challenged that I don't want to be under this king, this emperor, then the emperor or his soldiers would try to defeat them. If they defeated them, then they had to accept the emperor as the supreme ruler. And then Lord Ramacandra, he remained in Ayodhya. He didn't go out and personally go out and try to conquer the world. He remained in Ayodhya. And so Srila Prabhupada's point, really, as far as the purport goes, is that the Lord, or the Supreme Lord, he shows mercy to all of his devotees.
И также Господь отправляет милость ко всем своим преданным.
But he shows that mercy to them according to each person is an individual soul.
И вообще каждая душа, каждая личность является индивидуальной душой.
So at the time of Lord Ramacandra, he showed mercy to his brothers by saying, "You go out and you perform this service for me."
И Господь Рамачандра, он проявил милость к своим братьям таким образом, что он отправил их в небесные.
That's because his brothers were obviously completely qualified because they were all expansions of the Supreme of Lord Ramacandra himself. And for the citizens of Ayodhya, they were generally, according to this purport, not as qualified, but they were devotees of the Lord. So Lord Ramacandra helped them by giving him his personal association. Shri Gauranitai, Shri Radha Bhakti Vihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Lady Shri Ganesh, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. So he would give them his everything, and they all enjoyed being in the presence of Lord Ramacandra. All the people in Ayodhya were very much enjoyed seeing him and watching him and serving him directly. So Srila Prabhupada taught us early on that there are two kinds of association. There's the association is called Vani, and there's the one called Vapu. And in the early days of ISKCON, very early days, Srila Prabhupada was only in New York, and even though he was only in New York at the very beginning. In the early days of ISKCON, the first temple was established in New York, 26 Second Avenue. Of course, in the Srila Prabhupada had already established the ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So even though there was only one temple, and nobody else had thoughts of how could there be anything more, but Srila Prabhupada had already established International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So at one point, Srila Prabhupada was invited to which city? The West Coast? San Francisco? San Francisco. So Srila Prabhupada, saw that this is an opportunity for preaching, so he was ready to go. So when devotees, the New York devotees, understood that Srila Prabhupada was getting ready to go somewhere else to preach, they're thinking, how can we go on without you? You give us. How can we go on without you?
И когда Шрила Прабхупада уехал в Сан-Франциско, то они же беспокоились и думали, каким образом мы будем без него дальше.
We need your association constantly, every day. Otherwise, how can we become Krishna conscious?
То есть они считали, что им нужно общение со Шрилой Прабхупадой каждый день, а иначе как бы не стать.
So that's what Srila Prabhupada explained. There's two kinds of association. There's Vani and there's Bhakti.
И вот тогда Шрила Прабхупада объясняет свои общения в Ване и Бхакти.
So Srila Prabhupada was, the association then was Bhakti, which means he was physically present and everyone could see him, hear him speak, and see his example.
И вот вначале, конечно, Шрила Прабхупада бывала, когда все могли к нему прийти, спросить, что-то поговорить, то есть они максимально близко и задавать им вопросы. Вот это общение было забавно, когда они непосредственно присутствуют и объясняют.
So Srila Prabhupada says, but the other kind of association is called Vani, following the instructions.
И далее Шрила Прабхупада объясняет, второй очень важный шаг для общения – это Ваня, наставление.
Srila Prabhupada said he only personally saw his spiritual master a few times, but he says, from the first meeting, I've never been without him.
Я видел, Шрила Прабхупада рассказывает, что он видел своего учителя несколько раз, но не было такого времени, когда он был без него.
And Srila Prabhupada, so he said that I've never been without the association of my spiritual master, even though I only saw him a few times.
И Шрила Прабхупада говорит, что я никогда, хоть я видел всего несколько раз своего учителя, но мое общение с ним никогда не прерывается.
So Srila Prabhupada told his devotees in New York, so you put a picture of me on the seat, the Vyasa-san.
И Шрила Прабхупада подал командировку, закончился, поставил Vyasa-сан.
And you follow the instructions that I've given you. You chant your rounds, you chant 16 rounds, you follow the 4 regular principles. You have your Srimad-bhagavatam Class in the morning. And Bhagavad Gita class at night. Yeah, and basically carry out whatever programs were in place at the time. So, and of course, this is also Srila Prabhupada's mercy that he was helping the early disciples in that way. He was going somewhere else and forced them to become more mature in spiritual life. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada is in the purport here. He makes a point that he says that many people who live in Vrindavan, who are residents of Vrindavan, they vow that, okay, my whole life I will remain in Vrindavan, and I'll chant Hare Krishna, and I'll believe in Krishna, like that. And it says, he points that out. But he said that, or Krishna has, or Chaitanya has given the order that the chanting of the holy names of the Lord need to be spread all over the world.
Чайтанья отдал приказ такой, следовать этому приказу, распространять сознание Кришны по всему миру.
So Srila Prabhupada says that just because someone might stay in Vrindavan and just chant Hare Krishna all day and do some kind of devotional service there, and he said that does not mean that someone is a great devotee of Krishna.
И он говорил, что если кто-то живет во Вриндаване, там выполняет ежедневные процедуры, спокойно, безопасно жизни, то не проповедует, это нельзя сказать, что у него хорошая духовная жизнь.
Great devotee of Krishna means someone who will follow Krishna's instructions.
Потому что великие требования Господа, такие наставления.
And according to Krishna's instruction, or Chaitanya's instruction, who is Krishna, that you help spread the Krishna consciousness teachings all over the world. And of course, that's what Srila Prabhupada did. He was also in Vrindavan for many years, writing his books and. Right, and it could have been very easy to just sit there and chant Hare Krishna day and night for many years, but Srila Prabhupada didn't do like that. Srila Prabhupada, from the day, the moment that he met his spiritual master for the first time, the order was already given. Because when Srila Prabhupada, as a young man, was encouraged to go and listen to the lecture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, as soon as he entered the place where they were having the lecture, then immediately Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, him and his friend, you're educated young men, you should preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Srila Prabhupada was very much pleased to hear this, because his family, they were also followers of Lord Chaitanya. And Srila Prabhupada was not, up to that point, he was not very impressed with so-called sadhus. So-called sadhus. Because as a child, Srila Prabhupada saw his father invite many sadhus to the home to give them some prasadam like that, and he saw that many of them, most of them, were not at all qualified as actual sadhus. It's just a show. So when Srila Prabhupada heard Srila Bhaktisiddhanta actually say you should go out and preach Krishna consciousness, you should spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, then he was very impressed. This is a real sadhu.
понял, что вот это поведение настоящий садху.
So, of course, Srila Prabhupada, in due course of time, has established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
И можно, соответственно, со временем Прабхупада зарегистрировал и сложно международное соревнование.
And he established it to help carry out that instruction that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave to give Krishna, spread Krishna consciousness everywhere.
И Шрила Прабхупада, он сделал распространение сознания Кришны по всему.
And of course, the function of each temple in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is primarily how to give Krishna consciousness to others.
И, конечно, каждый храм, который существует в сознании Кришны, также ранее необходимо думать о том, каким образом больше проповедовать.
And of course we do that, book distribution, to bring people to the temple, kirtan, classes like that. We're trying to give Krishna consciousness as far as possible to the people in general.
И, конечно же, мы стараемся, насколько это возможно, делать для людей в целом то, что мы делаем, правильно, сами.
So of course not everyone can live inside of a temple, but everyone can do something to help in Lord Chaitanya's mission.
Если кто-то не может делать все, то надо какую-то малую вещь нужно делать.
And just as Srila Prabhupada pointed out, many people in Vrindavan will say, "I will not leave Vrindavan, even to teach people about Krishna." So we still see this happening even now in the society within the world.
И потом, когда опыт был создан, миру, Шрила Прабхупада не стремился попасть назад в Вриндаван, продолжал
Because everyone, according to their qualification, can do something as far as giving Krishna consciousness to others.
И в те моменты каждый, кто знает Кришну, он каждый старался как-то только сказать что-то Кришне.
But the best way to do something in following Lord Chaitanya's instructions, the best way to do that is to support the local temple where the preaching is actually going on.
И когда такой будет продолжаться, то период проповеди будет продолжаться все остальное.
So of course, here in the temple, we try to encourage people to come, to read the books, to attend the classes, and to teach others about the glories of Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya.
Люди, которые приходят, их мягко проповедуют, постепенно подводя их к миссии Чайтаньи.
In fact, every person in the world who's following practically any religious path is taught that there's a requirement that you're following this religion or that religion. You must teach your dependents to be, follow that religion, even if it's not Krishna consciousness. You're supposed to be teaching their dependents in that way to follow the laws of God.
И невзирая на то, что у меня способности, нужно стараться делать,
So the business of anyone who has gotten the mercy of knowledge and let's speak of initiation within the spiritual movement needs to not just kind of like do their thing in society, but we have to, everyone has to be thinking, should be thinking, how can I give Krishna consciousness to others? Not just how can I enjoy chanting and you know enjoying it, but how can I actually give this knowledge to others?
И таким образом нужно стараться учиться давать это знание людям.
And the and of course this goes along with what Srila Prabhupada said that we need to. He says your love for me will be tested after I leave by how well you cooperate with each other in carrying on this mission.
И следующий уровень это то, что необходимо научиться думать о том, как я могу сотрудничать с теми, кто рядом со мной для распространения миссии.
So Srila Prabhupada in that cooperation means that you have the Krishna consciousness, preaching is going on, so the order is that everyone should somehow or other assist in the preaching mission.
Но идея в том, что проповедники должны проповедовать, а те, кто не могут проповедовать, они должны это делать насколько возможно, помогать нести проповедь проповедовать.
Anyway, these are a couple of points on this verse purport.
Это пару моментов из этого комментария.
Any questions, comments?
Какие-то вопросы читали? Если важно вопрос. Go to the translation or the purport, если посмотреть, что говорится в комментариях, so you see the Lord's meaning of Prabhupada Srimad, то мы видим, что это настроение Господа или Шурмапада одинаково. The purport says,
That's correct.
So you see, there is no much time, no time for breather actually. Work good for beauty, it seems. Maybe that's for sure. Это хорошо, возможно, you see that you did the morning program, Bhagavatam Class, that is for the distribution. Sometimes we have program.
Bhagavad Gita class,
Yeah, Bhagavad
Krishna book.
Bhagavad Gita so far. Может быть, да, приходят на Гауранах, потом классы и едят просадки. So, the point is, many members are still following this. Дело в том, что во многих храмах такая ситуация. But those are drifting, they are not able to maintain the temple also. Они даже не смогут поддерживать храмы. So why we are not to gain that stream again? Как мы утратили это база? I have examples like two temples in Pune, temple in the West, Los Angeles, and doing good because they are preaching actually.
Yes.
И вот несколько храмов, которые мы чувствуем, там очень хорошая ситуация в храмах, это потому что они проповедуют. We should put an example, a pharmacist, if among the pharmacy starts selling vegetables and what happens, people don't take the pharmacy business seriously. Если производитель лекарства там делать что-то другое, то люди не будут серьезно воспринимать что-то другое.
Is it because of our not being a big business that this movement is not we are losing speed?
Получается, в соответствии с языком, что наше главное дело, которое мы должны делать, мы его потеряли.
You know, we need to, we need to not forget the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement, which is to give Krishna consciousness to others.
Мы не должны забывать самую главную цель нашего движения, это давать сознание Кришны другим.
In fact, the main, very, very important point in management of a temple is simply preaching about Krishna, preaching to the devotees.
И также есть очень важный момент о том, что менеджмент в храме это тоже проповедь тем преданным, которые находятся.
So Prabhupada said that if the management in the temple is constantly preaching to the devotees about the mission and the purpose of life, then the rest of the management becomes very easy. So, so we have to, and of course, everyone has free will. So there are those who are preaching, and there are those who are not willing to accept that preaching. So sometimes you develop a lack of interest in the following the path of Krishna consciousness. But even though sometimes there are difficulties and there are challenges that you may say, oh, and there's this problem here and this problem here, I'm going to just, back off and be, independent from the temple. But we shouldn't be independent. Independent doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that everyone lives inside the temple, but everyone should see like where our temple's here. This is like the most important building in the whole city of Miami, right? So. And so two sides. One is, of course, in the temple, we try to encourage everyone to participate and become Krishna conscious. But of course, we all have free will, and we have our desires, sometimes material desires. So it's also the individuals around the temple and sometimes within the temple need to also aspire to, what can I do to take part in this Krishna consciousness movement? And of course, while not everyone can be, or maybe practicing Krishna consciousness full time it's not practical for everyone due to some kind of circumstance. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives a series of verses statements. He gives a series of statements. He says, the first thing is one should see me as accept me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you have your mind constantly fixed on me, and so on. That means be pure devotee. Never forget Krishna for a moment. That's the perfect state. But he says, but if you cannot do that, then you need to follow the 4 regulative principles of devotional service. The Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and avoid the sinful activities, and so on. And if you cannot do that, for some reason, maybe your family is very much in opposition, and different reasons you cannot do it. So then, if you cannot do that, then you do the next best thing. Next best thing is you do some work, you give some donation like that, or you give something for Krishna. And if for some reason you can't get away with doing that, then you can do something else, and you can that statement was that you can actually do something for Krishna. Maybe even if you can't follow all the principles. And then if you can't do that, then you can do some welfare activity, or do something good for others, and so on. And that way, there's several steps. So everything and all these different activities, on whatever level, will help one to gradually advance on the spiritual path. But anyway, so to answer the question, we need to, on our side, we need to try to encourage everyone who is not following strictly the real mission of Lord Chaitanya, and we need to encourage them to do so. And of course, those who are not following need to have also some utilize their free will and try to understand, so they can become more part of the Krishna consciousness movement, and in that way also advance the spiritual life. A couple of points. Yeah. Yes, deity worship, of course, is an important thing, especially for those. If you get people to come to the temples, but the more direct preaching, teaching the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, why we are doing what we are doing, that is essential. Otherwise, we forget what we're doing here, and other people will not understand at all what we're doing here. So yes, but not everyone at any one time will be always on that level. So those who have been given the opportunity to preach directly, or to help maintain the standard in the temple directly, that has to be done, and for sure, as people come, they'll gradually become. If they're willing to accept the knowledge and a little service like that, they'll be able to do some more as far as becoming Krishna conscious. It's a gradual process. So we need to do our part, just like Shilpa gave the example. And it's just what you said. The preaching must go on. That is, those who are qualified to preach need to do that, and those who may not be on the level they can go out and really preach Krishna consciousness to others, then they should do whatever they can do, and gradually come to become more qualified. There's a couple points. So I think time here, so we have to end for today. Tomorrow's Govardhan Puja. Okay, so maybe the class will be on Govardhan Puja tomorrow. Definitely the evening class will be on Govardhan Puja. So we'll end here for right now. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
I was there. So there was a rule on Ekadashi. You have to go and distribute books, or if you want to be in the temple, chanting is at least 64 rupees or something. You have to chant, not you can sit and rest. If you come for a Mangarati late, in Jew also, Radha Rasberi,